A massive thanks to MPB for sponsoring today's video.
Oh, let me just get him out, We've got a new lens. It's the Panasonic Leica 9mm f1.7 ultra wide angle for micro four thirds. This is a lens that I've wanted for many years actually, for a few different reasons, which I'll get into in this video. For the record, if anyone's even bothered, I've bought this lens with my own money from MPB, who are actually sponsoring today's video. We'll get onto them in a little bit. But yeah, I don't care if you buy it. I'm not trying to sell it to you. It's just a lens that I've had my eye on for ages. And I'm really excited to put it through its paces in this wonderful landscape that I love, which is local to me. All these beautiful salt marshes. I absolutely love coming back here. And I got this photograph. I think I've shown you this a couple of times. I think I must have got it a couple of years ago now. And I just love the image. I think it's really, really dramatic. And I think that's what kind of sparked my little love affair of this local landscape. But yeah, I do think wide angle's wonderful for this location, just trying to capture some of these puddles and stuff down in the foreground. And yeah, so the 9mm f1.7, let's get straight into the lens itself. I've traded my Olympus 7-14mm wide angle lens. If you watch me regularly, you'll know I seem to be on a bit of a lens hunt at the minute. It's all very genuine. I'm not like falling down the gear trap or anything. I'm just genuinely quite enjoying messing around with different lenses and trying to, I guess, streamline my micro four thirds setup in particular, get it really lightweight. But the 7-14 Olympus was fantastic. Beautiful lens. Its only downfall is that it was big. It was big, chunky, quite heavy. And for me personally, yeah, it was probably just a bit of a mistake getting that one in the first place. But I feel like I've rectified it now. And I'll put it up on a screen because I can't remember off the top of my head. I know this lens is 130 grams, so I'll put the comparisons up. And I mean, you can see just by looking at this lens, it is absolutely tiny. To be honest with you, I can't get over the fact that this is an ultra wide angle lens. You know, this is 18mm full frame equivalent. I'd maybe like it a little bit wider if I was being greedy, but in fairness, I've not really tested it out yet. You know, this is the first time I'm going to be using it. I'm sure 9mm is going to be absolutely fine. The size of the thing, it's madness. So yeah, I feel like I've really streamlined the setup, and let's put it to use. Oh, just such a beautiful evening. For now, probably because I'm inspired by that particular photograph I just showed you, I am going to shoot in black and white. As always, cool thing about the OM5 and many sort of modern cameras now is you can put the monochrome profile on. So I can see in black and white, which is brilliant. So a nice simple one just to start off the evening. I just like this kind of pattern we've got down here in the foreground, this particular pool. And then obviously the light streaming in from the right hand side. There we go. Pretty nice. Aperture priority f5.6. I think we're on 1/500th of a second. And ISO's just down on 200. One thing I have noticed straight away about this lens, maybe I'm just unlucky because, you know, the way the sun's streaming in, but a lot of sun flare. And I've left my lens hood at home. I don't usually bring them with me ever. I mean, I'd maybe just rather put my hand in front of the lens like that if I'm taking the shot. But yeah, just something to mention straight away from my initial experience, you know. How is that? How is that an ultra wide angle lens? It's mad. And even the lens cap, 55mm thread, I think. Or is it 52? No, it's 55, isn't it? I'll put it up on the screen. I'm pretty sure it's 55. But yeah, tiny. It's just such a novelty at the minute. I'm sure it'll wear off. And it's not like my, you know, my 14 to 30mm lens on my Nikon Z7 is a big, massive, chunky thing. It's never really bothered me, but, you know, like I've been saying now for ages, you know, over a year, I just love this micro four thirds setup. Tiny little lenses, and this feels right. Something about that Olympus 7-14, although it was fantastic, I really want to make sure that I'm getting that across. It just felt too big for the system and for maybe the OM5 in particular. But yeah, that sun flare thing that I was talking about, it's one of them, isn't it? In landscape photography, at least, I've never really found sun flare to be any sort of issue at all. You know, I just move the camera slightly, change the angle a tiny bit, the perspective, and it usually disappears. Chuck my hand in front on the right hand side or wherever the sun's coming from, and it seems to do the job. But yeah, it's fitting the bill so far in terms of whacking it out of the hip pack, aperture priority, snapping shots. Feels like I've got a packet of crisps here. It's a packet of crisps, feather light. There's just nothing going on. It's absolutely class. Like, oh yeah, do like salt and vinegar. What a flavour. What a wally, man. It's a good job there's no one about. Oh, two things I feel like I always say about this location when I'm here. Firstly, it's always so windy. Look how exposed it is. I checked the wind, and it didn't look to be that bad because it's so flat, the wind's just flying in here from the Irish Sea. It just always seems to be windy. And secondly, it is just a maze trying to get across all of these little channels and all of these things that I find are so wonderful to use as foreground. It does make it a little bit tricky. Oh, look at this, man. Just so much opportunity to be sticking the wide angle in front of these and, you know, creating little photographs. And of course, look at the light. It's just so beautiful this evening. So I know a lot of landscape photographers, believe it or not, maybe to some years, a lot of landscape photographers don't even use wide angle lenses. They don't even like them. I've been out with a few where, yeah, the widest they'll have is maybe 24mm on a full frame. Some wouldn't even go that wide. I've always just found that so interesting, and you know, I've said this before, this is a common misconception of landscape photographers, is that they just want to shoot wide angle all the time. It's really not the case. I do, you know, I certainly don't shoot wide angle as much as I did probably when I first started out, but I love wide angle lenses. But yes, so many photographers, and I understand why now, so many landscape photographers are just not even bothered. You know, they prefer those mid-ranges, 35mm, 50mm, you know, like the classic primes. But yeah, for me, I absolutely love it, and it's so nice to know that I can have a tiny little wide angle like this in my bag at all times, and it's, you know, it's not taking up any weight. Especially, I think I said this before, I've always had this idea that wide angle lenses need to be really big and chunky, and that it's kind of like a trade-off. It's like, now I want my wide angle lens with me, I'm going to accept that it's a big chunky thing. Not anymore. That's absolutely class. So I'm trying to get some compositions looking back that way inland towards the Forest of Bowland. You know, this camera that you're looking through now is very wide angle, so the mountains look kind of small off in the background, or the hills. And even though we're not getting light that is that dramatic looking back that way, I just think it's really nice looking this way. The only problem is my shadow. So annoyingly, like, I look there and I think, oh, that's a nice composition, and I start trying to frame it up. Obviously, my big massive shadow's in the way, so it's like I've got to kind of shoot sort of diagonally this way a little bit, but it's fine. It just means a little bit more wandering around until I can find something that fits foreground wise. This is looking all right, actually. I'm going to work with this. And talking about the annoyance of the wind before, I'm liking that it's creating these little ripples within these puddles, just adding a tiny little bit of texture down in the foreground. Oh, here we go. I just really want to try one in a kind of portrait orientation rather than landscape. Just really, at the end of the day, I'm enjoying being out in this location, but I just wanted to give this lens a quick test more than anything. Now, my main reservation with this lens, really, although I don't think it's going to be a massive deal, is actually the focal length itself, 9mm. So 18mm full frame. And yeah, I'm so used to shooting 14mm full frame equivalent, both with my 14 to 30mm Nikon Z lens, and of course the Olympus 7 to 14mm lens, getting a bit confusing, that I've just sold recently. I always shot that at 7mm. That's something else I want to get onto actually. But yeah, you lose a couple of mil, which might not sound a lot, and if you were talking mid-range zooms or telephoto lenses, it really wouldn't be. You wouldn't notice it really at all. Whereas when you get into them ultra wide angles, that sort of 1, 2, 3, 4mm difference can actually make a massive difference to the final photograph, to the perspective. But I think it's going to be all right. At the end of the day, I'm just going to have to step back a little bit. It's not a massive deal. Now, Another thing that I really must address, this is a prime lens. Now the fact that this 9mm f1.7 is a prime lens is significant because on this channel I've always said that I'm not interested in prime lenses, and I still stand by that to a certain extent. I just wished I'd said in the past, and this is my mistake, I wish I'd have said that, you know, when it comes to ultra wide angle lenses, I'll happily use a prime. Please let me know your opinions down in the comments. I just feel like it's different, or from my experience over the years, it is different. What I mean by this is I've never really seen the point in ultra wide angle zoom lenses for landscape photography. That's just me. You know, my 14 to 30mm Nikon Z lens, for example, I just default to 14mm all the time and then move my feet. I don't zoom in to 24mm or zoom into 30mm, but maybe that's just me. So yeah, I sort of wish I could take that back a little bit, saying about primes in general across the board, or, you know, I wish I'd have remembered to explain. I don't know, when I think about prime lenses, I think about your standard 35mm prime, your 50mm prime. I don't think about an ultra wide angle lens being like a prime lens in that sense, even though it absolutely is, and I'm wrong. But I hope you know what I mean. I've never seen the point in ultra wide angle zooms, and this is going to be absolutely fine for me. And I guess the main reason is, you know, you've got so much more control over the perspective with an ultra wide angle. If I move back as I'm composing just a tiny little bit, you know, at 9mm on the Micro Four Thirds, it's going to make a massive, massive difference. So yeah, for me, prime does the job for once. It's actually better. So like I said, this is a lens that's been purchased with my own money, and I would love to say another massive thank you to MPB, who genuinely just happen to be sponsoring this video. Yes, I'm sponsored by them, but I am a massive fan of MPB. I've used them way before I was sponsored by them. I was buzzing when they wanted to sponsor me because they're so good. If you've never heard of them, they are an online platform that you can use to buy or sell used photography or videography equipment. They have got tons of gear, cameras, lenses, absolutely all sorts of different things related to photography and videography. Really competitive prices, and every single photograph you see of a particular piece of gear is of that exact piece of gear. For example, when I was buying this 9mm, there was only one actually, but I could look at the images and they've got real sort of very good quality photographs of the exact lens that will be getting delivered to me, you know, not just stock photographs. So a nice bit of peace of mind. On top of that, you get a 6-month warranty with every purchase of a piece of used gear. So much peace of mind, it's an absolute no-brainer. Now with MPB, you can actually sell your gear to them as well. So listen up if you've just got some gear lying around. All you have to do is head over to MPB's website and type in the name of the gear that you're thinking you might want to sell, and they will give you an instant quote. This is exactly what I did with my Olympus 7 to 14mm lens. Beautiful lens, just a little bit chunky for me. So yeah, went over to the website, typed in, you know, Olympus 7 to 14mm, got my quote, I was happy with it, I accepted it, and then it gets a little bit better as well. MPB will pay for a courier to come to your house at a date of your choosing. So all you've got to do as the customer is just box the gear up, put it in a box, stick a label on it, and yeah, someone will literally come to your front door when suits you and take it away. And the money will be in your bank within 2 to 3 days. Like, it is quality. Again, obviously I'm sponsored by them, but I've used them for years and years. It's very easy and enjoyable for me to do this sponsorship because I think they're genuinely class. So another big thank you to them for supporting what I do. If you'd like to give them a go, there'll be a link down in the description below. You know, you can maybe get some quotes, you can see if you want to purchase some gear. If you use that link as well, it really does help me out because it tells MPB that I've sent you. And yeah, that would be wonderful. Flipping heck, it always happens every time. I got a bit complacent coming over this little channel, Look at the state of that, for God's sake, man. So annoying. Oh, man. I should wear wellies, actually. I'll tell you what, this is a good one, because I know I'm yapping away today and most people have probably turned the video off. But I know that those of you that follow me regularly are probably still watching, fingers crossed. And it's your opinions that I value more than anybody else's. And the question is, give me some welly boot advice. Do you have some good Wellington boots or gum boots, what I think they call them over in North America? Let us know, because I've never had a decent pair. And I think, yeah, places like this, coastal, it's yeah, a lot better than wearing frigging trail runners, you know, not the best. Let me know in the comments. I'm just trying to get a little bit closer to the actual coast. Nearly there now, like where the kind of marshland or whatever, the salt marshes just turn into the sand, because I always seem to forget when I come here. I get so immersed in all of these channels and these beautiful salt marshes that I forget that I can get down to the sand and see what, you know, I might be able to find some nice patterns to use down in the foreground with the wide angle. Oh, this is wonderful. I'll tell you what, as hard as it is to navigate over these channels and stuff, I mean, look at this. It's just glorious. There's nobody about. Probably because of these mad, it's a mad place to come, isn't it? Like if you're going to walk your dog or something, hopping over these. People do it though. See some people off in the distance. But oh man, you know, when it's just like, so lovely to be out with your camera and locally as well, so I've not had like a big drive or anything, and just enjoying it. It's so peaceful. And look, the light's dipping down now. We're probably about 30 minutes till sunset, I would say, 30 or 40 minutes. And oh, it's an interesting piece of driftwood there. And just this, you know, this kind of experience where you're so present out with your camera, not really thinking about anything else, just enjoying it. So that's kind of cool, isn't it? A bit messy maybe, don't know. It's all right. That's nice, isn't it? And yeah, just the same at the minute. Trying to find shots that are going to suit the wide angle. The shadows are getting even nicer. I look down in this channel here, just really beautiful little shadows and stuff. And things are only getting better and better as that sun is dipping. Oh, this is beautiful. It's just the sound of me and the distant oyster catchers. Can you hear them? I don't know if you'll be able to hear that, but I'm taking a shot here anyway that I reckon this is going to be my favourite one of the evening so far. Let's see if we can get any more. But nice and simple. There we go. And that's kind of what I've really tried my best to stick with, that simplicity. That first image that I showed you, the black and white from a previous adventure here, really it was all about simplicity. So I think that this one really fits the bill with that. It's literally just a channel, some nice light, and then the sun streaming in right up in the background. It's just loads of the same photograph, isn't it? Maybe. I'm just loving it though. I'm loving it. You just stumble across one of these little pools and stick it down in the foreground. It's exactly what I had in mind with the wide angle. Oh, I'm going to get trapped here. I can see it. I'm not going to get trapped. I'm going to have to walk all the way around, because look, this channel here, isn't that nice, man? Oh, it's so lovely. But yeah, look, it kind of goes all the way down, so who knows how far I'm gonna have to walk. I think it might be worth just sticking around here for now, finding a composition here. Or maybe not, maybe just enjoying the sunset. Even Heysham Power Station looks nice, man. Look at that, even that looks nice. Maybe not, maybe I'm just feeling good and everything looks good. So I'm currently filming on my OM System OM5 and the Panasonic Leica f1.7. I just thought I'd include this piece because this is a beautiful lens for videography as well, as I hope you can tell by the way it looks there on my little screen there. It looks fantastic, and you know, mainly just being able to stop down to f1.7 and get that beautiful background blur. I'm not as into videography as I used to be, but maybe I should get back into it a little bit. But yeah, I know a lot of people buy this lens for things like this, for vlogging, so if that's something that you're into as well, or just like I said, general videography. I thought it was really worth mentioning that this is a fantastic lens for just that. Wow, this is so cool. I don't even know if you could see me there, but wow, dodgy enough because I've got to come out here on these little, oh wow, these kind of little mounds of earth here that are just sticking up through the water. This is just the edge of one of these channels. I'm going to say it's just popped into my head. It's almost like a mini estuary. The light's actually dipping, but fortunately one thing I've learned over the years is to get the photograph before I chat to you lot. I'm so glad I have, because the sun, hang on, I'll come and turn you around. There we go, I'm back. I'll just show you the sun. Look, it's probably another 10-15 minutes of sunset, but it's going to be gone. It's going to go down behind all of that cloud there. I mean, that could be the last of it there, but yeah, look at that. All of this, what a little find. Just really kind of, I think different is the word that I want to use. Just different, stumbling across this. And it makes it all the better, as I'm sure many of you lot have experienced, when, you know, I've come out on an adventure, very low expectations. All I'm doing really is just trying a new little bit of gear locally. But when you stumble upon something like this, especially when it's local and you know you can come back, I just think there's potential with all of that. Maybe it's much ado about nothing here, but I just think there's potential for a really cool photograph. Now, like I said, fortunately, I was grabbing a few shots whilst the light was still out, and I'm so glad that I did, because that's it gone. Well, I've had to come back. I was sort of heading back to the car, to be honest with you, and I've come back because I was wrong about the sun. It's come back out, and as you know, generally getting closer and closer to sunset, the light's just getting better and better, so I've come back for another shot. Now I'll sort of pop it onto the video mode here, and I'll try my best to from this perspective just how cool it looks through the 9mm in, you know, I will probably shoot this in a landscape and a portrait orientation, but I feel like it's lending itself better to a landscape, something along those lines. But the thing is, it just looks so crazy, doesn't it? Like a bit otherworldly and kind of strange, you know, just to have all them mounds down there in the foreground. But I'll play around a little bit. You know, I'll probably leap on over to that little mound as well, maybe even the next one, and just try a few different perspectives. But the 9mm is working so well here for what I'm wanting. I thought I was going to prefer the portrait orientation, but I'm really liking it in landscape. I'm just going to try this one here. And yeah, 9mm is absolutely fine. I mean, if I even move back a tiny little bit, let me just grab this shot before the light disappears, because I've done it before too many times. There we go, I think that looks cool. But yeah, I'll just pop it into the video mode again, and I'll show you what I mean and what I'm going for. Just this sort of thing here. What you've got to remember is I've shot this in a 3x2, so there's going to be a little bit more room on the top and a little bit on the bottom, but something along those lines I think is looking fantastic. And you can see there, this is the only thing. Look, can you see that? I hope it's coming through. That kind of that lens flare, I've never seen it so prevalent. So I've never seen it so noticeable on any sort of lens before. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, lens flare now, we've been able to clone stuff out so easily. To that extent anyway, it's just not going to be a problem at all, and I can live with it for everything else that this lens gives to me. Oh wow, really mad. Like the sun had gone, honestly. It was like, oh yeah, see you later, 100% gone behind the clouds, and then the clouds must have split there for that kind of 2 or 3 minutes that we were back here taking more photographs, and we got a last little splash of light, and it was even better, even warmer, even more dramatic. So I shall leave you with the final photograph of whatever I preferred here, maybe a landscape and a portrait. I don't know what I'm going to show you, but I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate your support as always. I hope you enjoyed the chat about the Panasonic 9mm. It's a lens that I think I'm going to really enjoy using with this system, and yeah, it's barely noticeable in my bag, and very, very happy with it. I suppose I need to get home and look at the photographs on a full screen first, but I just know it's going to be absolutely fine. I'm buzzing, definitely made the right choice. But anyway, thank you to all my wonderful Ko-fi members, especially for all your support, but to all of you, thank you very much for tuning in every week, and I hope you like this last image as well. I shall see you on the next adventure. Out!